First heat for the street stocks, David Drake in the 05 and Ray Claflin in the 90. Make up the front row, Skip Liberty and Don Morin, row number 2. Street stock, heat number 1, underway. Dave Drake jumps out to the early lead, but look at Drake is squirrely, and here comes Skip Liberty in the number 9. Don Morin in the 63 moving up along the inside. Randy Yance on the move in the 34. Yance moves into that 4th spot. Dave Drake runs 3rd, Don Morin is 2nd, and the driver with a big lead is the 9 of Skip Liberty. 3-car battle for the 2nd spot. Oh, look out, Yance gets into the back end of Drake. David Drake goes sideways and backs into the front stretch wall. He gets the car underway, but the yellow flag will come out. Set for a restart in the first heat for the street stocks here at Airborne. Skip Liberty in the front row, Donald Morin on the outside. Randy Yance moves up alongside Don Morin in a battle for the 2nd spot. Yance moves to 2nd, and he closes in on Skip Liberty. Liberty leads it. And the 34 of Randy Yance tries to move up on the outside. Danny Dubuque runs in the 2nd spot. Now Dubuque tries to move up on the outside into 2nd, but he drops back. 2 laps to go for Skip Liberty. Yance closes up in the turns. Alan Matten has moved into the 3rd spot. Liberty trying to hold on as he heads into the 4th turn. He'll come down the stretch to pick up the victory. Skip Liberty wins it. Finishing 2nd was Randy Yance, and 3rd went to Alan Matten. First heat for the street stocks, the Airborne International Raceway. Second heat for the street stocks, Robin Wood and Mark Lamberton in row number 1. They still run side by side, but Lamberton with more power down the backstretch to take the lead. Ron Weston moves up in the 35. He takes over 3rd. Good battle for the 3rd spot. Randy Haywood in the 82, Ron Weston in the 35, and Billy Fountain in the 91. cars battling it out side by side, started that way, and they've been that way through the entire race. But now, moving up on the inside, Haywood moves to second. And Billy Fountain gets by Ron Weston. Mark Lamberton has built up a commanding lead, but it's the battle for this second that we'll continue to watch. Fountain moves inside. And Billy backs off. Now gives Haywood a bump. Couple of Plattsburgh area drivers battling it out as Mark Lamberton has a nearly straightaway lead here in the second street stock heat. For Mark Lamberton, he's got a commanding lead, but the battle is on for second. Fountain now gets the inside groove. Haywood moves down to try to force him into the marbles, but Fountain shoots through for second. Lamberton wins it. Billy Fountain finishes second. Randy Haywood third, and Scott Foster finishes fourth. Third and final heat for the street stocks. Eldred Hutchins and Monty Lemaire in the front row. Chet DeVarney, Ron Klein make up the second row. George White makes a three-wide move into the corner, and it works. And he may get the lead as they go down the backstretch. Now he settles for the second spot. Monty Lemaire leads it. We've got a good battle going on throughout the pack. Ralph Rockwell tries to pick up spots on the outside. George White looks inside. Lemaire battles right back. George White in the rustic auto body number 3, and Ron Klein in the Sears number 28. Three-car battle for second. Klein in the 28, DeVarney in the 14, and Dussablon in the 2. Now Steve Renadet moves up in the 76, and he joins the battle. For George White to pick up the victory. But the battle is for second. 3 wide into the third turn, and DeVarney goes around. And he gets tagged by Jimmy Young. And the caution flag comes out with 1 lap to go. Street stocks get set for the restart. George White, Ron Klein, front row. Bruce Dusablon and Steve Rennedet for row number 2. White gets the jump. Bruce Dusablon moves to second. 3 wide. Rennedet on the far outside. Now Ralph Rockwell spins. One to go for George White. Can he hold on? George White trying to hold off Bruce Dusablon and Steve Rennedet. They battle it down the stretch. George White wins it. Photo for second. Looked like Dusablon might have got it done on the outside. Steve Rennedet picking up the 3rd spot. First heat for the Flying Tigers. Lester Armel in the 71, Bucko Branham in the 24. Row number 2, Chris Durkee, Joe Thomas, Jean-Paul Cyr, and Red Mead make up row number 3. Branham jumps out to the early lead. Armel runs second, but he's got Joe Thomas right on the outside flank. Armel and Thomas continue to battle it out for second as Branham starts to pull away. Now Thomas moves inside and takes over the 2nd spot. Oh, look out, trouble! Red Mead nearly goes over. Chris Durkee's involved, as is Lester Armel, and the caution flag comes out in the early goings of the first Flying Tiger heat. Tigers get set for the restart. Branham gets a good jump. And again, Branham pulls away. The battle is on for second. The 2 Ford Thunderbirds continue to battle it out as Bucko Branham leads this first Tiger heat. Joe Thomas fades on the outside as Cyr takes over second, and the 07 of Dennis Caron takes the 3rd spot. Branham's lead has dwindled to half a car length. 3 wide, Cyr on the inside, and they all make it through. Now Cyr's got the inside line, and he'll take over the top spot. Branham is sideways, going backwards down the front stretch. Joe Thomas got a bit anxious in the 66 and took out the 24 car. And the caution will come out as they'll regroup here in the first Street Flying Tiger heat of the evening. Jean-Paul Cyr in the 32, Dennis Caron in the 07. Tony Andrews runs third in the 20, his first appearance here in a while. Brian Hoare runs fourth in the 45. Sear moves into the lead. Karen tucks in, and he'll hold on to that second spot. Two laps remain for Jean-Paul Sear. The battle is in the middle of the pack. One lap remains. Jean-Paul Sear trying to hold off the 07 of Dennis Karen and the 45 of Brian Hoare. Sear wins it. Karen finishes second, Brian Hoare third, and Red Mead picks up the fourth spot. Second and final heat of the evening for the Flying Tigers. Car counts continue to be down. Jim Barton, Greg Lyman in the front row. David Gay, Kip Stockwell make up row number 2. A couple of combatants last week were Dave Whitcomb and Scott Carpenter. We'll see what happens here. Steve Miller's going absolutely nowhere. David Gay has the lead and he starts to pull away. Mark Lanfear and Jim Barton battle it out for the second spot. Richard Bootsy looks to move alongside teammate Jim Barton as they battle now for third. Now Bootsy moves to third, and he'll bring Dave Whitcomb in the 25 right along with him. Jim Barton is stuck in that outside groove and he's got nowhere to go but back. Dave Gay and Mark Lanfear, the top two cars, halfway this time by. Heats up for the third spot. Whitcomb and Bootsy side by side now. Whitcomb takes the third spot. In the middle of the pack, Jim Barton in the 57, Jim Silly in the 68, and the 36 of Scott Carpenter. One lap to go this time by. Champlain, New York's David Gay leads it. Mark Lanfear out of Morrisville, Vermont runs in the second spot. And David Gay will get the win. Mark Lanfear second, Dave Whitcomb third, Richard Bootsy fourth. finishes 5th. Second, Flying Tiger Hake. Coming up next, it's the Street Stock semi-feature. Semi-feature for the Street Stocks. Skip Liberty, Danny Dubuque in the front row. Randy Yance, Alan Matt in row 2. Mark Lamberton, Randy Haywood in row 3. Scott Foster, Ron Klein in the 4th row. George White, Bruce Dussablon, and Steve Rennet round out the field. Billy Fountain, scheduled to be in this race, did not make the start. Liberty on the inside, Dubuque on the outside. Now Randy Yance moves up in that 34 car. Mark Lamberton trying to figure out a way by Randy Yance. Here comes George White, right on the back bumper of Lamberton. Lamberton shoots up alongside Yance. Can he make it stick on the outside? He goes way high, and it pays off. Now he's on even terms with Liberty, and he powers by down the backstretch. 3 wide into the corner, White in the middle, Rennet out on the far outside. Pulls away from George White. But the battle is a 5-car affair for 3rd. Lamberton looking to pick up the second leg of the Triple Crown, as he has built up a huge lead here in the semi-feature. We'll continue to watch this battle for the 3rd spot. Bruce Dussablon in the 2 is 3rd, Steve Rennet at 4th. Now that the 2 and 76 have broken away from the slower cars, we'll see if they can gain any ground. See the gap that Lamberton has built up. It's going to be 2 laps to go this time by. See, Lamberton hasn't lost the lead at all. The 3rd and 4th place cars have closed up a bit on George White. 1 lap to go. And Mark Lamberton, halfway home, 2/3 of the way home rather, for a Triple Crown. Mark Lamberton powers down the stretch, picks up the win in the semi-feature. George White finishes 2nd, Bruce Dussablon 3rd, Steve Rennet at 4th, and Randy Yance finishes 5th in the Street Stock semi-feature. I'll tell you what, this kid is 21. David Game 19. Flying Tigers semi-feature, Joe Thomas, Jean-Paul Cyr in the front row. 4th, 3rd, 2nd, and 3rd. Red Mead, Brian Hoare make up the 2nd row. Thomas gets the early lead. saw a couple times last week that these three Ford Thunderbirds tend to run together, and they're doing it again tonight. Thomas goes hard into the first turn, really smokes the tires. Sear dropped back on the outside. Red Mead looks to move up. Brian Hoare trying to make it work on the outside in the 45 car. Thomas and Mead battle it out. Oh, Mead gets into the back end of Thomas. The 66 car is definitely holding up the line, but he's making the car awful wide, and it's tough to get by. Brian Hoare is going to give it a shot on the outside. Does not apparently be set up very well tonight, as that car cannot stay on the bottom of the track. Nonetheless, Thomas has done a good job of keeping that car in the lead. David Gay threads the needle. Now in the third spot. Jim Silly are running fourth, and they close in on Red Mead. 2 to go for Joe Thomas. Red Mead looks to hold on to that second spot, and Dave Gay gets into the back end of Red Mead, and Mead goes around. To go for Joe Thomas. Joe Thomas will win the semi-feature for the Tigers. Jim Silly finishes second, Dave Whitcomb third, David Gay fourth, and Jim Barton finishes fifth. Street stock features set to roll. David Drake and Ray Claflin in the front row. The 9 of Skip Liberty, the 61 of Danny Dubuque in the second row. Kevin Sorrell, Greg O'Lawrence, row 3. Ron Agnew, Alan Matten, row 4. Randy Yance and Mark Lamberton, row number 5. Claflin, Dubuque, and Liberty, and Greg O'Lawrence on the outside. Ron Agnew's off the pace in the 15. And look at how quickly Mark Lamberton has joined the top pack. watch Lamberton for a few laps as he weaves his way through traffic and is marched to the front. Now he runs fourth. Now he runs third. Now second. And George White is off the pace, headed through the infield. Back up front, it's Dave Drake and Mark Lamberton. Now he tries the outside. Drake spins all by himself. Lamberton is the new leader in the 21. In the second spot, Greg Lawrence. And now Jimmy Young is third. Stousablon has been not able to move up any place. One of the leading contenders to win, he's stuck behind the slower traffic. Robin Woods off the pace in the 24. Steve Rennet as he tries to pick up spots. Top three cars last week were the 76, the 2, and the 64. And they're running together once again, but this time it's in the back of the pack. That shows you the big advantage that Mark Lamberton has built up over the top rivals. Jimmy Young is in the second spot. Billy Fountain is running third. The last thing Mark Lamberton wants now is a caution flag. He said Jimmy Young runs second. Away back to Billy Fountain in the third spot. Ralph Rockwell has taken over fourth. Monty Lemaire and Grego Lawrence battle it out for fifth. Now Rennet has moved to seventh. All of a sudden, Lamberton's lead has gone away. Jimmy Young is right on his back bumper. Now Young moves alongside, but Lamberton keeps it low, holds on to that top spot. slowed, and Young thought about making the inside move, but wisely backed off. To go this time by Mark Lamberton, trying to hold off Jimmy Young. Oh, look out, Ray Claflin nearly got into the back end of Lamberton. Lamberton's got to be very careful with this lap traffic. One lap to go. And he's got lap cars, 3 of them, to negotiate. He moves safely along the outside of Lloyd Mortis, but lap cars side by side. Jimmy Young trying to move up. Lamberton powers through and gets it done. Jimmy Young finishes second. Steve Renadette got up to take the 3rd spot. But picking up the win, his 2nd of the season at Airborne, and successfully finishing off a Triple Crown. Moores Forks, New York's Mark Lamberton, former track champion in the International Sedan Division. Lamberton pulls into victory lane along with the 2nd and 3rd place cars. Jimmy Young finishes 2nd. It's the best performance we've seen from Jimmy Young this year at Airborne. But what a fine job Lamberton did negotiating his way through the lap traffic. Survived a closing lap bump from Ray Claflin that nearly sent him spinning to pick up his 2nd career victory in the street stock division. And it's too bad Lamberton didn't start the season in the street stocks, because he probably would be giving Steve Renadette a run for his money in the top of the point standings in the street stock division. Mark Lamberton wins it. Jimmy Young finishes 2nd. And Steve Renadette finishes 3rd. There's Lamberton's crew out on the track to congratulate the youngster. And there he is, the winner of the Triple Crown in the street stocks, Mark Lamberton. Feature time for the Flying Tigers. Bucko Branham, Chris Durkee, row number 1, Jean-Paul Cyr, and Red Mead in row number 2. Bucko Branham leads it. Now Branham gives up the lead, and the new leader is Jean-Paul Cyr, but he's sideways. And Branham comes right back at him on the outside. Two continue to battle it out. Now Cyr pulls away, and Chris Durkee takes the 2nd spot. the 32 of John Paul Sear. Chris Durkee running second. Pete Fecto runs third in the 75. Brian Hoare is fourth. Red Mead fifth. Jim Barton runs sixth. Buck O'Branham seventh. David Gay is eighth. Greg Lyman ninth. And now Dave Whitcomb moves into the top 10. Flying Tigers continue running in the top two spots. Milton, Vermont's John Paul Sear and Sheldon Springs' Chris Durkee. Now they battle side by side for that third spot. Pete Fecto and Brian Hoare. Red Mead looks to move up along the inside. Whitcomb starts to pick off cars on the outside. Following Whitcomb through traffic is Jim Silly in the 68. Pulls alongside and he will move into third alongside of Pete Fecto. Dave Whitcomb is making it work on the outside. John Paul Sear leads it. Chris Durkee second, Dave Whitcomb third. In turn number one, as cars are spinning everywhere. Brian Hoare is involved. Greg Lyman's involved, as so is the number 11 of Barry Schwartz. And the caution comes out for the first time. Tigers get set for the restart. 13 laps down, 12 to go. Jean Paul Sear, Chris Durkee, Dave Whitcomb, and Jim Silly, the top four. Whitcomb moves underneath of Durkee. Taking out some of the bushes on the backstretch. Here comes Whitcomb on the inside. Now Dave Whitcomb will take the lead. Sear will try to cut back in and hold that second spot. But Jim Silly also moves through. For a great finish. yellow blue, Whitcomb Service number 25, and Jim Silly in the Times Argus 68. Last week we saw Silly spin out Doug Horn to get by. We'll see what happens this week. Strongest effort we've seen from Dave Whitcomb so far this year. To go this time by. And it's a two-car shootout. The 25 may be pushing a bit and drifting a bit high in the turns. Four laps to go for Whitcomb. Silly now tries the outside. Whitcomb starts to pull away, but look at the 68 close the gap in the corner. That 25 is drifting high as he enters the fourth turn. 3 laps this time for Whitcomb. Now Whitcomb holds it low. Holds onto that top spot with 2 to go. Silly looks at the outside. 1 to go this time by. Dave Whitcomb starts to pull away. Silly closes in on the turn. They come around the lap car of Barry Schwartz. And Whitcomb wins it by a half a car length. Finishing second was Jim Silly. Jean-Paul Cyr finished third. Fantastic finish here in the Flying Tiger feature, as Essex Junction, Vermont's Dave Whitcomb picks up his first win of the season here at the Airborne International Raceway in the Flying Tiger division. Whitcomb wins it. Jim Silly finishes second. And a good effort for the rookie from Milton, Jean-Paul Cyr, who finishes in the third spot. Very clean race tonight in the Tigers, just the one caution, as Dave Whitcomb brings it back into victory lane to pick up his checkered flag and take his victory lap. Time for the Napa Legends. Clark in the 07 is the leader. Yes, this is Napa Legend Racing at its best. The caution flag is out. Rob Clark was leading. Oh, by the way, see that car right there? That's the car that Steve Hayes drove during the Chitwood Thrill Show that they held tonight. Also the car that Steve used on his road test. They're still trying to straighten out the running order. And we'll take a break until they get it straight. Have completely screwed this up. When they went to the caution, the 07 of Rob Clark was leading. Now they've got him in the back. They're calling the 91 as the leader. Now Junior Benoit will move into the second spot. They've got it straight. '21 car was the leader, but he just spun out, and Rob Clark is going to get the lead back. Oh, there's got to be some water on the track. Rob Clark leads it in the 07. And let's let's give credit to the scorers, because Dave Moody certainly didn't know what was going on in his call of the race, and they've got it straight as Rob Clark is leading. Oh, look out, we got trouble right in front of the leader. And Rob Clark gets through. Clark and Russ Nichols run 1-2. Clark. One to go for Rob Clark. Russ Nichols looking for Clark to make a mistake. They come up on lap traffic. And Clark wins it by a nose. Russ Nichols finishes second. Greg Paye finishes third. And the Napa Legends at the Airborne International Raceway. Highlights from the Cornwall Motor Speedway coming up next.